We all have a friend with a crazy habit. For me, it's my best friend Paul, whom I've known for 21 years. Paul has difficulties throwing stuff away. His house is filled with boxes, floor to ceiling, hundreds of boxes. There's so much stuff on his kitchen floor that you can't even tell what color the floor is. Paul wastes a lot of time in his life looking for stuff he needs. He frequently hurts himself walking around the house and tripping on something sharp. Paul's habit is also holding him back. He had to turn down a job offer because with all this stuff at his house, he simply couldn't move to another city. I'm sure we all agree that Paul has a problem. In the real world, this problem is called hoarding. But in the virtual world, you and I are no different than Paul. We desperately hold on to every bit of data we download or generate, letting it clutter our lives, wasting our time and holding us back. When was the last time you cleaned up this desktop? Or your documents folder? When was the last time we went through our photos on the phone and deleted the 80% of photos we don't care about so that we can more easily find the 10 that we do? I'm sure you all say that it's different out there in the digital world. It's a different type of hoarding. After all this data doesn't really cause you any pain. Well, it's a problem. And I believe that together we can deal with it. True, data is small, but there's just so much of it, and it's growing at an unprecedented pace. This represents the total amount of data that mankind generated until the year 1980. It's equivalent to about 4 billion Encyclopedia Britannicas. And this represents the amount of data that mankind generated yesterday, in 24 hours. If we don't change our habits, we'll be overwhelmed with data. All this digital mess is weighing us down, and we don't even realize it. The sheer amount of time that we or our computers spend going through data is shocking. We waste an estimated 25 hours each year going through data we don't need, or waiting for our computers to index the data that we don't need. 25 hours. That's more than one full day that we could be spending with our friends, with our family, deepening our personal relationships with others, instead of staring at the computer screen. Businesses are particularly susceptible to this problem. They're notorious for keeping data around. They don't delete anything. They don't clean anything up. And there's a price for that. It costs them an estimated $1,200 per employee per year in time wasted and storage costs. And when it comes to reviewing files for legal purposes, businesses waste tens of thousands of dollars having their lawyers go through garbage. But it's not just about the time that we waste. Not being able to find stuff is very difficult and very hard for us when you actually need to find something important. I know this firsthand. You see, I'm a recovering data hoarder. I used to store every single file I ever received, and I never really cared about where to put it. Why should I devote my mental efforts to organizing my data, to cleaning my data up? Well, my habit came to bite me once. I was trying to secure a lease for my dream New York City apartment. The landlord asked me for a letter of reference from a previous employer. Well, I didn't have a printed version, but since I've saved every single file I've ever received, it should be pretty easy to find it on my computer. So I started looking for it. But then as I kept looking, I realized that I had no idea where I put it. And that, in retrospect, it was pretty important. So I searched through literally thousands of files. My college essays, the grocery lists, and other useless files. I found the document 15 minutes later, but it was too late. The landlord had already given the apartment to someone else. someone more organized. Had I realized how much clutter I was surrounding myself with and been able to do something about it, I would have enjoyed my dream apartment in New York City, one with a washer and dryer in the unit. A washer and dryer! It's a big deal in New York City. Holding on to our data also changes the way we behave. We're much less spontaneous because we keep surrounding ourselves with the record of the past. Life has taught me that lesson. I was planning a trip to the Northeast to see all my friends. I was excited to go through all the emails and notes and photos, to make a list of everyone I'm going to see, to remember all the conversations we didn't finish, so I could finish those conversations. And then, my hard drive crashed. Unable to make a precise plan, I had no choice but to be spontaneous. So I let chance decide who to see. Instead of rehashing old conversations, I started new ones. Instead of talking about stuff from the past, we ended up talking about our aspirations. I connected with my friends much more deeply than I had ever before. A few years back, Paul decided to seek help. He was tired of being held hostage by his stuff. He couldn't quite throw anything away, but he moved it far away in storage, very far away from him. It helped. Now you can't tell what color the kitchen floor is. And yes, Paul moved to a different city and took his dream job. Inspired by Paul, I no longer hoard bits. I keep the important information close, everything else far away. That way I have more time to do the things that I want to do. I can always find something important. And I feel like I'm much more spontaneous in life because I'm not surrounded by the mementos from my past. You too can stop being weighed down by your data. And I'm here to help you with the first step. No, I'm not going to ask you to delete your precious Facebook photos and documents from 10 years ago. My advice is simple. Organize your life. Separate the important from the unimportant. Keep the important lean and organized and close by. Put the unimportant far away on an external drive or online. That way, if you ever need to access it, you can. But you're not going to be reminded by it every day. You're not going to be distracted by your data every day. We're all data hoarders. But if we change our mindsets just a little, if we employ some basic data hygiene, this is not my apartment, it's a stock photo. We'll have more time to spend with our friends and our families. And we'll be more spontaneous. We'll be able to do things we haven't done before. We'll be able to live in the moment, and we'll be able to make much deeper connections with people. And this advice, unlike your clutter, is really worth keeping. Thank you.